All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the factory floor. I am joined by my companions in business and friendship. We have Corey, Eugene Haynes. Said your last name wrong. Dude, I've known you for like
Not my name.
12 years. Yeah,
You
Eugene
called me
also
Corey
is.
Ulysses Haynes earlier.
Yeah, it's got to be
I
a
would have
U
taken
in
that.
there. I
That
don't
was kind
know.
of cool.
Ulysses
That's
is sick.
actually that's a common theme throughout some of Conversion Factory's design assets is I will always use Corey's name, but it's extended by
Really?
like 12. Yeah, it's like Corey, Allen, Bartholomew,
Oh, yeah.
Edgar, Haynes, Esquire the third.
We're very professional at Conversion Factory, by the way. So we got Corey, all those names, Haynes. And then we also have Zach Stevens below me on my Zoom meeting call thing that is joining us. Um, the thing is, today we're talking about something that Zach and I apparently don't know anything about, which is perfect because we're going to let good old Uncle Corey walk us through. We're going to talk about vibe marketing today. Now I've heard of vibe coding, and so I'm assuming it's
You have?
something to do with vibe coding, yeah, but not
Yeah.
vibe marketing.
Okay.
So
All right.
can you take us on a journey, Corey? Is that
Well,
possible?
Nick heard
What?
about vibe coding, and then he made it so that that word doesn't show up in his Twitter feed because he hates AI.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Immediately
I
excluded it.
I need you to tell me if I need to do the same thing to vibe marketing, if it has AI involved.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, sweet. All right, take us
So-
there, Corey.
Well, Zach, have you heard of vibe marketing?
I hadn't actually until you brought it up,
Okay.
but I'm assuming it follows, like vibe coding, vibe marketing. I'm assuming there's some kind of similarity that's in there where you're going for the vibes, not like the actual technical feasibility of whatever it is you're doing.
Okay, I think this will be a fun discussion. And it's not that surprising that you haven't heard of it because, everyone's Twitter feed is different. So like I feel like my Twitter algorithm is very in tune with like breaking news and like whatever like the new zeitgeist is of what's happening in tech. So I feel like I was like one of the first to hear about vibe marketing and sort of already knew that was probably going to happen. And it's always funny when these terms come up because you never really know like where it came from or who started using it first or who popularized it or why we all accepted that it became a thing. But yeah, to back up for a second, vibe coding is basically what people say when they're not really a programmer, but they're using AI so much that they're able to build apps and they're able to program and develop and write code purely based off of prompting. So like there's no strategy or art to it. It's just so like in Cursor or in Windsurf or whatever, Replit, V0, Bolt, Lovable, like there's all these big app builder platforms now or IDEs that have agentic capabilities within them where you're literally like, build me this app, here are the requirements, go. And then it starts going, and whatever doesn't work, you're like, this doesn't work, make it work, fix it. There's no art to it.
Rhyme or reason. Yeah.
It's so like brutish, you're just in there like there's a meme of this like Giga Chad dude and he's insanely buff and he's like working at a stand-up desk and he's looking at his computer and it's like, the text is like what he's writing into ChatGPT and he's like, build me this app, make it perfect, no errors, do it or you die. It's like this whole like people are so savage with their prompting. So you had vibe coding. Now let me just say that I was a vibe coder before vibe coding was a thing, honestly.
Oh yeah.
That's actually
mover,
not a good thing. That's pretty embarrassing. But like literally when I learned to code 2 years ago almost in August of 2023, I was at a coding boot camp at Ryan Kolb's house and I had just started coding. I just downloaded my first coding IDE, just started using a terminal, didn't know anything about how anything worked. And then someone said, hey, there is a fork of VS Code, one of the biggest coding IDEs there is, that has ChatGPT like in the sidebar in the IDE, so it can like actually see your code. You don't have to copy and paste between VS Code and ChatGPT. And I was like, well, that sounds great because that's what I was doing, and I hate copy and pasting things back and forth. So I downloaded this thing called Cursor, and now like Cursor is what everyone uses to vibe code. So I was doing that way, way before it was cool, where it was like still Chat GPT or GPT 3.5 Turbo. And, it was writing the worst code in the world, but I was just clicking accept and then feeding it the error message and then having it fix it. And then, you just keep going like that. So that's where they say like you're vibing because you're not really paying attention to the architecture of the app. You're just prompting until it works. So does that make sense on what vibe coding is as like a starting point?
Go ahead, Zach.
Well, it just seems like, okay. So the context is that you're really like, they say vibe coding quite literally, where it's like I'm just trying to get the vibe, like, and have it get this. I use that term frequently during design projects. It's like this is like it's off brand. The vibe isn't quite right with this particular thing, and it's not necessarily a technical judgment. It's a emotional, subjective one, which is what it sounds like. It's subjectively
Right.
subjectively pointing out whether something does or does not work in the context of coding.
Yeah, it's sort of like maybe the difference between like drawing a sketch of a house and making an architectural blueprint, right? Like whereas programming before was like you're making an architectural blueprint of these are the exact measurements, this is what's technically sound, this is what is up to code, so on and so forth. You're just sketching, and those sketches become reality though. And so vibe designing. Okay, so the reason why they say like vibe coding is because the AI is so embedded into the workflow and it's so quick to actually do things that you can just kind of take this more spontaneous, loose, chaotic work style approach. You don't have to be so scientific and precise and technically sound with everything. You're just vibing. You're just prompting and seeing where it goes. And it's a very like windy journey to an end product.
Okay, so now I really want to hear, what does this look like for marketing?
Well, okay, hold on. So just so I understand, the putting the word vibe in front of vibe coding is more like I'm chilling, I'm vibing. This is easy. I can just do, and it does it. It's less like it's like something about the coding that makes it vibe coding. It's just like, no, I'm just chilling while I'm doing it, basically. Okay.
Yeah, it's just an easy breezy, carefree
Beautiful cover girl
way of coding.
It's crazy how not understanding I am of the term vibe coding and how popular the term is. Okay.
Well,
Okay,
again,
so what
keep in mind it's popular within the echo
Zeitgeist.
chamber of 100,000 people in tech Twitter.
By the way, it should be noted that we should all use the word zeitgeist as much as possible in as many situations as we possibly can because it's such a good word.
I do love that word.
Okay, tell us about vibe marketing.
Okay. So with vibe coding, right, we take an established workflow and process, and then we put so much AI into it that we don't have to care as much about how long that process takes or all the technical bits or the exact way that we get to the end product that we want, right? So now the exact same thing is happening within marketing, where we take a process like writing a blog post, for example. And maybe before, writing a blog post would involve, a couple of hours of doing some research on Google, reading a book, trying to find some primary sources, maybe running a poll on Twitter, emailing a couple of experts and friends, so on and so forth, and then writing an outline, and then like filling out that outline into a draft, sending it off to an editor, sharing it with the team for feedback, adding some designs, uploading it to a CMS, publishing, then promoting on Twitter, so on and so forth. Now with AI, every one of those pieces of the process can be expedited and automated by like 100 times. So instead of going and doing some research on Google, you just have a AI agent go and scrape. You do like the DeepSeek or the ChatGPT deep research, and you say, give me a summary of all the primary resources on this topic. And then it's going to give you all the facts. And then you say, ChatGPT, hey, build me an outline. Cool, make a couple tweaks to the outline. Now you say, hey, now write it. And then you can have ChatGPT go and create some illustrations. You can do some sketches and turn them into some stock images or into a diagram or into a prototype or a mock-up. And then once you publish it, you can have all these automations that then go and create individual unique posts for Twitter, LinkedIn, so on and so forth. You can even turn, for example, what we're doing right now, we need to do some more vibe marketing with our process. We could take the transcript of this podcast and then have AI go through a couple of different processes within an agent to turn it into a blog post, and then turn that blog post into some social media posts, and turn those social media posts into something else, so on and so forth, right? So vibe marketing is basically, how do we take AI and use it to expedite and automate all the things that we do to make it essentially like a spontaneous process instead of a super
Systematic.
scientific, drawn out, lengthy process.
Okay. I have a question then. As a marketer and someone who is up with the zeitgeist of what's happening and knows, reads a lot of blog posts and a lot of Twitter posts and a lot of these things, do you feel like you can see like, this isn't that person, this is AI? Like I can see that this blog post or this tweet is like distilled from this. Like you can kind of, like it's just like any like article now. I feel like sometimes I can read them like, you didn't write this. I could tell. Do you have that with all this marketing material? Do you feel like you have that?
Buffering. I think I got the gist of what you said.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I tell? Yes, you can absolutely tell. Here's the scary part though, is that it's getting harder and harder for me to tell. And recently I've been seeing people's tweets that I for sure thought weren't created by AI. And then I see one thing that kind of tips me off that it actually was created by AI. And I'm like, wow, like that basically almost got me. And like, it's going to be impossible to tell really, really soon. And here's the thing. I don't think it's going to matter at all. I don't think it's going to matter. No one's going to be able to tell. No one's going to care. There's going to be a lot more noise, and there's increasingly more noise every single month, especially on social media, because creating content has gotten so easy. There's even noise like now, every tweet that I write or that I publish, I probably get 2 to 5 automated AI comment replies. Sometimes I also recently I can't tell if those are AI or not. But then because they comment on every single thing that I do, I realize that they are. But actually what they're saying doesn't really read like it was written by AI. But again, this is just kind of the inevitability of AI. Is with marketing, it started with simple things like, help me rewrite this headline. And now it's like, oh, I can just feed it a transcript of this podcast. And then in 5 minutes, I'm going to have a published podcast clips, a blog post, social media tweets, so on and so forth, all published and scheduled in the right places automatically. And I'm going to trust that the output is good because it's gotten to that point where it's basically indistinguishable from what a person can do. And so vibe marketers are sort of like the new growth hackers, if you think about it. Growth hackers were cool like 10 years ago. And growth hacking was all about building it or taking in the processes and tools developers and then using it for a marketing use case. And now the same thing is happening with AI, where people are building their own scrapers, building their own research assistants, building their own agents, building their own X, Y, and Z that really, really speed up the process and allow you to do things that you couldn't do before or as quickly before nearly as much.
Do you feel that I feel like this happens with every democratization of a particular skill set, that you already mentioned the amount of noise keeps going up, but do you think that for like in the hands of a really good marketer, this sounds super effective, right?
Mhm.
Like, okay. Do you think that in the hands of an inexperienced marketer, it ends up becoming a noisy drum set in the garage with someone who doesn't know what they're doing?
Uh-huh. Yes, but here's the thing is that I think that because there's so much noise and there's only so many seconds in a day and only so much real estate in a social media feed, that all the bad noise ends up getting drowned out, actually. Um,
Mm,
we're just replacing manually written tweets that are filling our timeline with AI driven tweets that are filling our timeline, but that are
hmm.
basically equal or better quality. Um, because everyone else that's just using it for really bad, if you're writing bad tweets, it's still going to get bad engagement, right? If you're writing a bad blog post, it's still not going to rank in Google. If you're publishing a bad podcast, it's still not going to get listened to, right? So if the quality isn't there, it's sort of like as if it never happened. But for everyone
Hmm.
else, now we're making more better things faster. Um, and so you're able to do more with less. That's really the whole theme of AI, right? It's like you're able to do more with less, produce more with less people, less resources, less time.
Okay, I
Hmm.
was gonna ask you about that because that was kind of my view is that you could do like there's way more output. The quantity is like huge. You can do as much as you need or want at any given time, in all these different skill sets or industries. But what hasn't fully caught up is the quality. So like the quantity is through the roof, but quality is like slowly increasing. Like before you could easily pick out like obviously AI, terrible. And then
Mm-hmm.
like now it's kind of like, is that AI? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So the quality is like
Hmm.
catching up and the quantity is always going to be insane. Like you can do a ton of stuff, but the quality is just slowly climbing to the point where it's like, dude, what if the quality is like way better than we would put together and you can do 10 times more every day?
Yeah,
That's going to kind of like
that's what's
ruin all of
happening.
our lives. Like
I
I
don't
don't want
think
to go
so,
on
actually.
Twitter. Like I won't want to look, you know?
There's definitely going to be some things where it's like, if you can prove or if you can really go the extra mile to show that, like, hey, what I'm doing is not by AI, or at least
Interesting.
it's not obvious,
Human validation.
then yeah,
Yeah.
then people kind of like give it an extra nod. They're like, okay, this seems to be
Uh-huh.
something that I don't feel like it's going to try to trick me. But I think there's a lot of things that people don't care about. For example, ads. Um, like just recently, as of like a month ago, since ChatGPT released GPT 4.0 image creation,
Hmm.
I mean, it's like a mile better, like 10 times better than the last model at image creation. I'm looking at some tweets in front of me. I'm not going to show it because everyone listening is not going to be able to see it anyway, so I'll just describe it. But people have been showing a lot of these ad mockups where you can just give ChatGPT a picture of your product. Let's just say it's a lipstick, for example. And you can be like, hey, this is my product, this is what it looks like. Here's a couple of angles of it. Now do some mockups of this within model's hands on the beach with this kind of backdrop at sunset, for example. And it'll create a really, really hyper realistic, amazing looking ad within a couple of seconds. Now you don't have to go spend tens of thousands of dollars to hire a model, take a boat out to an island, bring all your professional photography equipment, rent it out for the whole
Hmm.
day, buy people's meals, so on and so forth. Even for software, I mean, it's like maybe what would have taken a designer, a few hours for a product UI abstraction or illustration. Like I know it's Zach, you can tell me more what you think about this, but like even though it doesn't feel like it's there yet, it's going to be soon. And there's just so many use cases where it's like, well, maybe what would have taken literally a week or $1,000 or $10,000 to do now is just one prompt away. That's pretty amazing. And again, it allows you to work so much faster. That's why this whole vibe marketing thing is kind of catching on because people are like, dang, if I'm a D2C brand or I'm a solo founder of a software product or I'm a consultant, like now I'm a one man marketing machine. I don't need a whole team to do all these things. I don't need to spend $100,000 a year just on influencer marketing. I can just make an AI influencer and then feed it my products and, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I think specifically around the concept of images for D2C brands, I think that's crushing it. Like it's a super powerful tool that's ready to go, assuming that you're able to get at least a couple, plain white background images of your product where it can then assess the like the dimensions and all that. Because like I even took something from Athletic Greens website when GPT-4o first got released, and they have this. It's a set of all the different things they have, like the bag, the canister that it comes in, a spoon, and then like even some like sprinkled AG1 dust on the white countertop that it was on over. And I said, take this image, but put it into a moody lit kitchen countertop and do all this stuff. And I was really impressed by the results for that. There were some things that it still hit the uncanny valley. Like, okay, the spoon is like sticking out of the closed canister, which isn't going to happen, but easily fixable with Photoshop. And it carries the like raw material a very far away before you have to come in and say, okay, I need to make some adjustments to actually make this real. With software stuff, I feel like it still isn't doing it right. And I've noticed this with anything 2D, actually. Like I feel like just 2D vector graphics, it has a really hard time creating things that are coherent. Like I've even seen you put this person in our Slack channel. They were doing like brand style guides, like just a shit ton of them. And I was looking at them, and I think I put together a video for it, but I didn't get to finish it, where all of them were garbage. I was like, you picked Enter as the primary typeface for everything, and it didn't even get that right. Like, it was very homogenized, and I don't know why, but like it has a hard time doing anything digital. Like if there's a digital interface that it has to then abstract and turn into something else, it sucks at doing it. Same thing with like creating brand style guides. It was like, yeah, but like those icons, they're not even cohesive. I don't even know what they are. Like you just have this circle with a random line in it. It's not a usable icon.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like, it's there. I'm thankfully, I think image generation for software stuff is still has a moat around it as far as creating things that are actually good
for the time being.
For the time being.
Because let me tell you why. Because every time there's a new model that comes out, it's because the team developing it, whether it's OpenAI, Anthropic, so on and so forth, they are specifically training that model to be better at something. And so, for example, when they came out with GPT-4o, that was a new model just to improve the image generation. So for months, they've been fine-tuning and tweaking for this output. Now, when they put their mind to 2D abstract, concepts and diagrams and things like style guides or UI illustrations, things like that, they're going to spend a couple of months. They're probably even doing it now. And then they're going to come out with a new model. It's going to be like, hey, this model is great at this now. And we're all going to be like, how'd they do that? It's the same process every single time. They're training on something, some output, some really specific thing that they're trying to get the model to be better at. And it takes a lot of iterations, like literally billions of iterations. And it takes time to get there. And it takes some essentially prompting on their end to try to make the model better at those things. And that's why we're also starting to see a divergence in the models and what they're good at, where you see like,
deep research versus 4o, right?
Right. So now we can sort of like toggle on and off these features of a model where it can take some extra time to go do some research, or it can take some extra time to go and get every little pixel right, or it can take some extra time, or maybe that model is just built for speed. We have like, I think it's like 4o mini, or then there's like O3 something or other. They're all going to have these little flavors and tweaks. and there's going to be a model specifically that's really good at whatever we think that it sucks at today.
Yeah,
A
I'm
year from
for that.
now, a couple months from
I,
now, I don't know when it is, but
I'm for it. I'm 100% for the empower, giving people the opportunity to do things that they didn't have the capability to do before, particularly people who are already doing the thing manually.
mm-hmm.
And I guess that's like the where this goes. Hey, like if you know how to do all this stuff manually, then my gosh, like your workflows and your ability to dictate what is and is not acceptable for these things is going to make your prompting so much more efficient. And then you'll be able to generate at mass scale. Because I do think, like, if we were, like I said, if we were a D2C marketing agency and we needed to do stuff like you said, a lipstick brand or a like a soda or something like that. That stuff, man, I would be over the moon excited with all
Mm-hmm.
of the things that we would be able to create and how quickly we'd be able to create them, and then how much more creative thought would be uh, the value that's created rather than the time that gets put into seeing the idea manifest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, can I ask a question? Go backwards a little bit and ask a question.
No.
No.
Okay. All right. This has been the factory floor. No, I'm just kidding. Um, okay. We started talking earlier about like human validation. So like like at some point, tons of stuff is going to be made with AI, and then we're going to have like a special premium feel to things that are made by humans. Um, it kind of reminded me of like, coffee in the US used to just be like like you go in, get your coffee and you leave, or you like go through a drive-through at McDonald's to get your coffee. And then Starbucks like kind of was like, no, we're gonna have a cafe and you like can come sit down and it's not like this like industrial like get your thing and go. They wanted to make it like an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And people had a lot of this type of stuff after COVID. It was like after COVID, the like service and experience economy is gonna boom again because people miss like just normal human being things and like this experience versus like the get it and go type mentality. Will we have something like this for AI produced products and services and human produced products and services? And will the human products and services have to be incredibly cheap to compete with the AI ones?
I think that they're going to be reversed, actually. I think that what you're going to find is that the human services and that human stamp of authenticity is going to command a price premium, and it will be more experiential. It'll be kind of like mass produced clothing where like, you have a t-shirt from Hanes or Fruit of the Loom or whatever, or even just like, button up shirts. Like if you go to like a Macy's or JCPenney and get something off the shelf, it's like, yeah, it gets the job done. It's mass produced. But that's not really what I'm after. What you will get is the people who are buying for status, and those are the kind of people that do things like these shoes that I'm wearing right now, handcrafted by Giuliani Armani in Italy, like with his hands. That's the kind of status and buying power that I have. And I feel like we've seen this over and over again. It's the same. We see it in hospitality where like, you have fast food like McDonald's that is
Delicious.
very yeah, also very inexpensive. But then you have things like, like you go to like a Cowboy Star or a Ruth's Chris, and it's like, I don't know, that was somebody made that today. Or like even more artisanal stuff, like this restaurant that we're going to is on the farm where they raised the pig that we're about to have the pork belly of. So I think that what you'll see is this might be an interesting opportunity for blockchain to make a resurgence where it's blockchain verified that this was made by a human, it's as opposed to AI, like, and that will command price premium, at least
2026.
in my
Double
opinion.
down
You
on
have
blockchain.
well, the thing that's gonna happen, the thing that has to happen though is that you have to be really, really good. Like it's gonna there will not be a like there's not gonna
Mediocre
be a
group.
no. It's not gonna happen. You have to be really freaking good. We kind of see this with I feel like the same thing happened with music too, where actually, and the thing that happens is that people actually crave a little bit of imperfection in the
Yeah. The rough
elements
edges.
that they, yeah, rough edges. And we see this with things like, like the thing that makes like a vinyl, an old vinyl, so powerful to listen to is because it's actually not overproduced. That there is that human imperfection that comes through. And you even see this with things like a live performance. This is why live performances are so valuable. It's because there's chaos and it's not programmed. That's why podcasts are so popular. It's because it's unscripted. Um, and I think that we still long for that. It's not going to be possible to have a middle ground anymore. It's either going to be high end, high touch, high involvement, or low touch, good, but not the same. Like just a difference in experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Two thoughts on that as a follow up is one, I think that anytime you see the cost of doing something go down where it becomes a lot more accessible, then there becomes like a new bar where you have to make it even more high quality and obviously kind of handmade, human made in order for people to see that difference and appreciate that difference. So yeah, like now, maybe the cost of like getting an influencer has gone down, or maybe before you could only get an influencer who was a Hollywood movie star and you had to give them $1 million and 10% royalty on all sales. Now you can seed your product to 100 Instagram influencers, give up no equity, and you can do it for, $100,000. And now with AI, maybe you can make your own AI influencer, and or you can just create ads of people that look like influencers with your products that you can use to advertise for basically free. But now, once you've like used that up, once you've exploited that as a tactic, and now you want to go the extra mile and you want to go beyond what that can offer you, now you need to do things that AI can't do, or that's obviously not AI. So like, yeah, every pose that you think that an AI model can do really well, now you're going to go the extra mile to find a model who doesn't look like anyone who's AI. Maybe the model looks a little bit imperfect. Maybe the lighting isn't perfect. Maybe they're doing something or they're making an expression or they're holding it a certain way where it's just people can see right away that that's not AI, but it's also more eye-catching than what would have been AI. Because that's the key, right? It can't just be different. It has to stand out and be more eye-catching. And I'm using an example of like an AI model because it's a really easy one to visualize. But again, this goes for blog posts, this goes for tweets, this goes for landing pages, this goes for software, UI abstractions, so on and forth. It applies really to anything.
I wonder if there's a world where it's like, because in my brain, you could be like, okay, the law says everything needs a watermark. If it's got AI, you got to say that it's AI or whatever. I don't
That's
want to
already
do
a thing on
that.
Instagram.
It's a little weird. In my head, I think there's like a reverse where anything can be AI, but if like the AI has this stuff which you can't have in it, like it doesn't have this, like there's a badge or something that like if you
Oh yeah.
there's not this isn't in the AI, and so if I have it in my video, that this is a real human being or something like that. But I
Like
don't
if
know. I
people
feel like there's
become
going to be a
blind to the
huge
little
market,
watermark that's like AI was involved in making
right?
this
But instead,
ad or
it's like,
whatever.
oh, there's a little badge you can put on your thing that's like, it's not in the models. It can't be in
Yeah.
the models. It's like legally not allowed. So if you have that, that's like a verification. Like,
Yeah.
because that's the problem. Like the government has to like put out statements, or like the president has to say something. And the models are so good, you can like make whatever you want. How do we know it's actually him saying it? Anyway, we're way down away from vibe marketing.
No,
Yeah. Well,
I want to get to two other things based off of that really quickly. Sorry, there's a fly buzzing around me because my door is open for my dog.
Say,
But
it's not real.
yeah, the other part of this thing that I think is really interesting, based on Zach's point about commanding a price premium, is that I think on the product side of things, what I think that we're going to see happen, especially with a lot more software and services, is a lot more personalization. because if we can't apply the AI to the marketing, we can probably apply the AI to the product more.
Right.
And I was thinking recently about our client Botable. I'll call them out, give them a little shout out, because what's really interesting about them is that they they're sort of positioned as like, look, we're the internal knowledge base for X, Y, and Z industries. So your employees can go in and ask any question and then get an answer within seconds instead of having to file a report with HR and maybe have to spend weeks on something that's not even a good answer. And what's really interesting is that they have each one of their clients upload a unique corpus of data, a unique training set, and then like for them, the product is tailored and personalized for that client and all those answers. And I think we'll start to see that a lot more, where it's like instead of just logging into your, I don't know, your HubSpot dashboard and you get your CRM with all the different tabs and buttons and things, it's like, no, this is the Conversion Factory HubSpot dashboard with all of our only the buttons that we need and a bunch of new buttons and new interfaces that are personalized just for us. And now it feels like a much more customized experience for us because at the end of the day, people are going to pay for things. They're going to pay extra for things that they know the AI can't do. Unfortunately for software, there's nothing that AI can't do. There's no like, hand woven or hand carved
Code.
equivalent in
Yeah.
software. You can say this shirt, the stitching was specifically hand woven by a craftsman, and no sewing machine in the world can do that. It's like, cool, I'll pay a premium for that. There's nothing that a programmer would write in code that gets compiled down to binary and a computer chip that an AI can't do. But what can an AI do that we can't do? It can customize and personalize the experience of that software infinitely, right? Um, so I think that we'll start to see that a lot more, where it's not just a off-the-shelf experience for every software that you buy, that it's a personalized experience. There's a lot more customization involved. Um, the second thing here, really back to the vibe marketing theme, is that beyond just creating marketing assets cheaper, faster, better, I think the real magic is actually in the workflows, and this more like agent experience where, for example, I can set up an automation to scrape my competitor's Facebook ads, feed that into GPT-4o or whatever image model is the best at that time, have it create personalized equivalents of those ad formats for my brand, go and then write the copy based on the creative, upload into these Google Drive folders, grab those and upload those into Facebook ads, and then like send to me for review. Or so
Crazy.
on. Like there's so many different workflows that you can't even imagine that are like, we've talked about this. We've been looking into like Gumloop and Lindy, and it's like, oh, what if after the sales call, it automatically grabs a transcript, generates a follow-up email for us, sends them a recap of the conversation, um, connects with them on LinkedIn, sends them this personalized message, follow-ups in a week if there's no customer record detected in Stripe. Like there's so many cool automations where the workflow could be like 20 steps long, and it's as if someone were doing that on the back end.
It seems to me that what the key thing with like the vibe coding and the vibe anything is it's more about a just getting rid of minutia. That's what this is. It's you cut out those interstitial steps and get rid of the minutia that is needed to get to your milestones before it can actually be something that is worth showing to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because what you just mentioned there, and something that I've been looking at with Lindy, I'm like, checking out Lindy AI's Notion integrations with Stripe and all this other stuff to see like what are those small little steps that you have to take to get to a specific way marker before you have to do something else. And the more of those you can cut out, the better. Like any part of minutia before it's like milestone, great, I get to check in. You're essentially becoming like when I was doing freelance graphic design before we started Conversion Factory, you'd have those milestone check-ins with with clients of like, hey, we're going to check in on progress here. Our expectation is to have this, and we want to review these elements. Now you don't need to have or your milestone check-ins become far more frequent, where you're able to get to those stopping points where you feel this is actually something really good, and I can see fantastic progress with this stage. And if we have other stages to go, but I'm cutting out all of that other energy that is needed in between those core steps.
Yeah. There's like, okay, as for all the anti-AI propaganda that I spew, I use it. It's a reality. Like I do use it. But I totally agree. I think, Corey, what you said about like the change in the workflow, not necessarily like the work that's being done, like it has to be done this way, but it's like we're cutting out some of the BS and we're changing our workflow so that it's just faster and more efficient. Like today, I haven't had an email from one of our past clients just asking like, hey, like I'm like still figuring out this SEO thing. Like, can you kind of give me some tips, like pointers, things like that on their current site? And I was like, I could spend a lot of time thinking about this, or I can think about it somewhat, and I can also have AI think about it and feed it the URL and send like copy the email that they sent me and be like, hey, this is what the client said, past client, and this is what their URL is. Like, what do you think? Like, tell me what you would do, and I'm validating what they're saying, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Instead of this being like an hour and a half of me spending time on a past client, I have like, okay, I got everything I need and a good frame of reference in like 10, 15 minutes of, which is mostly just the time in my head thinking. It only took the AI like 30 seconds. And then I can send them a loom and, give them a breakdown. So I totally agree. I think it's the workflow and it's cutting out the BS that is the true value that we see right now. The question is, how long is it going to be before it's more than that? And it's like, oh, it does all the work. It does basically everything.
I think that as well as taste, like at what point does it actually
Have taste,
come up with ideas on its own in a really provocative way? But
yeah, I want
those
my AI
might
to be provocative. Yeah.
well, I was going to say those might be a podcast in and of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should
in
have
the
a
short
whole.
term, though. Sorry.
Good. No, you.
You.
Okay. I was just gonna say we should have a whole episode of us trying, like, we all independently go try to get AI to do or say something ridiculous, and we bring our results to the end. Okay, so what I said doesn't matter. Okay, Corey, you go.
Okay. The next more off topic. I was going to say, speaking of minutia, one of the things that I've noticed myself doing way, way more is just speaking and dictating versus typing. Even the most simple things.
Whisperflow or GPT?
Well, both, because like ChatGPT on your desktop app has a really good like voice to text feature.
That's it.
Where it basically uses their own speech recognition and speech transcription API. Superflow and Whisperflow both use that same service essentially. But yeah, I've been doing that. Even with this book that I'm working on, I'll see the feedback that people are writing about certain sentences or sections, and then I will essentially dictate what they say line by line, and then I'll feed that back into Cursor because it has my whole chapter in there, and then start editing that way. Like I'm not actually in there typing words or making changes on my keyboard. I am purely just dictating. And I've been doing that for, the copy that we're working on for clients. I've been doing that for emails that I write. I've been doing that for tweets. I've been doing that for even just like going through, like I did like an onboarding audit for a client recently. So I just signed up and I spoke out loud what I was seeing on Loom. And then I fed the transcript from Loom into ChatGPT. And I was like, okay, now tell me what I said, like structure that into an onboarding audit, essentially trying to answer these questions and format it this way in an outline.
Dude,
and
that's
it works
freaking
really
genius.
well.
Why haven't you told us that you did that? Because that's a great
That's genius. Dude,
Yeah,
that's genius.
I've just been vibing, dude. Sorry.
It's vibe
Well,
marketing.
I've been using Whisperflow as well. Just speaking is so much more effective. Like, because it's thinking out loud, and
It's
that's
way
exactly
faster.
the way that because me having to type things, it's very curated and it's cold. But I can do all that after I just uh, brain dump everything that I'm seeing on there, and I hadn't thought of having GPT then do that culling and refining for me. Well,
Corey,
yeah, but it's great. I think the ideal scenario, this is, future Zach talking, is we have the screens on contact lenses, and then we're able to just walk, and we're able to dictate just using our voice, and it's like, yeah, move that there. So that way I can be walking out in my neighborhood and giving feedback to clients verbally and
no,
looking at it. Yeah, that's the
no.
dream, Nick.
That's
You
a
Don't have
Black
to
need,
be at
Mirror,
my
baby.
desk.
That's a Black Mirror
dude,
episode right
no.
there. It's
You need
prophecy.
some work-life balance, my friend. Heck no. Um, Corey, I was gonna ask, are you meaner to the AI when you type or when you speak?
No, I'm super nice in both
I'm super
Sure
nice.
instances.
you are.
hmm
Sure.
I'm
I say
I'm
please
yeah, I do
Says
too.
all the time.
please and thank you. Oh,
Very rarely, only if it's like majorly effing up and it's not understanding what I'm saying, while I like all caps,
like
rage,
stop.
like no,
Rage
this,
prompt.
not that, idiot.
They're just like tear face emoji, like sorry, Corey.
Or, well,
Crazy.
I think, I mean, a good example of this is like when we were discussing the ICHRAs and C corps and S corps,
Yeah.
and I thought, I was like, man, I don't have time to research like what the pros and cons are of this. Like, GPT, please help me out. And that's a perfect minutia example of, I have no idea what this is. I just have a question and a theory that I would like tested. I need to start using it more often when I am walking with the voice, like
Yeah,
the
it'll just
the
chat with
actual.
you.
Yeah, there's a conversational version. Get to talk with Vale from OpenAI and say, Vale, I've got some problems I need to talk to you about today.
She's like, what's wrong, bud?
Oh, wow. Sounds like something's on your mind. How
This
can I
is
help you?
bad. I don't want to talk to them. That's the
I
the
actually
one thing I haven't tried yet is talking to it. I don't want to do it.
I actually don't like it. I just purely like the
The
speech
dictating.
to dictation feature. The conversational to me like takes me out of that kind of vibing state of mind where I'm just thinking out loud and I'm more like trying to curate what I'm saying, especially in like a short amount of time, because then it's like, what'd you say? I missed that, or like tell me again. Um, but yeah, the definitely like speech is definitely a big part of vibe coding, and it's a big part of vibe marketing now, especially for content creation. I mean, even just months ago, I was like, dude, why are you even trying to write a blog post? Just talk and just have the AI start to organize your thoughts. That's how I finished the last like third of the book. Was I just did all that speech dictation into ChatGPT and then kept copying and pasting the contents, because I was like, this is too much for me to like write and self edit. And like, yeah, there's definitely an art to writing, and writing is good because it makes you think very clearly. But when you're just trying to get pen to paper and like thoughts out of your brain, there's like nothing better right now than the AI speech to dictation.
I'm in that.
All right. We have been talking for a long time. It's crazy that on an episode
Yep.
with no notes, we talked for this long. And we could probably talk for another 2 hours. Any final thoughts before we close it out?
If anyone has a very specific vibe coding or vibe marketing use case or workflow, please let us
Let's hear
know.
it. Yeah, show
Yeah.
us what we don't see.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Cool. Gentlemen, great pod. Thank you for teaching us, Corey, about vibe marketing. Next week, we'll be talking about vibe something else. Who knows?
Vibe
Let's get in
designing.
next week. Yeah. Okay.
Only a matter
We
of time.
will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.